Hello and a very warm welcome. The eagerly anticipated video about the talented German who is no longer on the grid. Sickening. Disgraceful. Are you telling me Nico Hulkenberg's not better than half the grid? The three words you say to... If you ask me, three words to describe Nico Hulkenberg. It's solid, it's consistent, and he's probably the nearly man. But it's an absolute outrage and a disgrace that this German is no longer on the grid. Disgusting. The former Williams, Force India, Sauber, and my mind's gone blank. Renault. Former Williams, Force India, Sauber, Renault driver is no longer without a seat, and it all stems back to Lance Stroll. Ocon booted out the sport the previous year because Stroll's got a pound note and his dad has now got investments in Force India. So Ocon gets kicked out when he should never be out. And now Ocon's back, which is the right decision because Ocon should be in the grid anyway. And now Hulkenberg's out. We see it every year. Pascal Wehrlein booted out when he's better than half the people on the grid. He was miles better than Ericsson, but he somehow loses his seat. Ocon, another talented Frenchman, he's out. He's had to sit on the sidelines for a year. Now Ocon's back. We lose another talented driver. It's disgraceful, man. I mean, he gets a pole in the Williams, GP2 champion, then gets into Formula 1. He gets a pole in the Williams. He arguably should have won the race in 2012. That's the problem with Hulkenberg. He's always going to be known as the nearly man. When people like Perez, Stroll, Magnussen have a podium, Gasly, Sainz all have a podium and you don't, it looks bad. He should have been on the podium at Brazil 2012. He comes down, he saw the lights, he saw that he was going to win a race in the Force India. He slid into Lewis Hamilton and basically fucked both of their races. And yeah, he saw the lights. In hindsight, he should have gone through the centre S, get Hamilton, and who knows? I mean, he gets a podium in a Force India, his whole career could have changed. Who knows where he could have ended up? He could have ended up in a Ferrari. It's a disgrace. I'm sickened. I'm not happy about this at all. It was the same with Ocon last year. Should be on the grid. Every day of the week, Nico Hulkenberg should be on the grid. Are you telling me that he's not better than George Russell, Latifi, Norris, Giovinazzi, Stroll, Gasly, Kvyat? There's 7 I've just reeled off. Hulkenberg is a better driver every day of the week than them. Okay, I'll give you Russell, Latifi and Norris are very good drivers, but they're unproven. Hulkenberg's been here for 10 years. 10 years in the sport. And he just loses his seat. And no one says boo to a goose about it. It's sickening. Absolute outrageous. And shame on the F1 teams as well. 10 teams down the grid and not one of them has gone out and got Hulkenberg. I'm sure Williams went for him, but why would you want to go to Williams? Williams are a disgrace and a shambles. But it's all wrong. I mean, this guy's a GP2 champion. He's always been a solid, consistent performer. Always has been solid and consistent. He's won Le Mans. He's got a pole in a Williams, won Le Mans, GP2 champion, and he's not on the grid. And easily he'll be driving in another category because he is a talented German driver. He's that is probably his biggest strength, is his consistency and his solidness. He's always been consistent. Every time I've done reaction videos to races, I'm been saying Nico Hulkenberg, consistent performer in the points, best of the rest. That's the downside to Hulkenberg. He's always going to be known as the nearly man. He could have won the race in 2012 Brazil. Could have definitely should have been on the podium. And then his home race, Germany 2019. What a race. And he went off at the ice rink. Again, he could have been on the podium. I mean, you look at that podium. Kvyat was on the podium. Hulkenberg could have easily got on the podium. Absolutely outrageous. This video has been bubbling for 2 weeks, and people should hang their heads in shame about this because it's not good enough. How is Hulkenberg not on the grid? Honestly, I wouldn't even say well, he's not. Hulkenberg's not in my top 5 of drivers who I support. He'd be in the top 10 for sure, but I mean, I'm getting this annoyed that Hulkenberg, he's only in my top 10 and he's not on the grid. It sickens me. It absolutely sickens me. Disgusting. I honestly can't believe it. So next season we're not going to see Hulkenberg on the grid, but yet I reel off 7 names who he's easily better than. But what a joke, honestly. Farcical. Leave your comments down below. Would love to know what you think. Do you think Nico Hulkenberg deserves to be on the grid next year? For sure he does, in my opinion. Do you think he's overrated? I don't. I think he's underrated. He's underappreciated. Underappreciated in my opinion. I'm not happy about it. The tall German will definitely be getting he'll be going to IndyCar, maybe going to World Endurance. He'll definitely be in another category with Hulkenberg. He's too talented not to be. I hope he doesn't go to Formula E though, because that's wasting his talent, going to shitty Formula E. Also the Formula 1 Rejects Club, barring Felipe Massa, who I wouldn't call a reject, but the rest of them are pretty much F1 rejects. They couldn't make it in F1, so they go to Formula E. Unbelievable. Nico Hulkenberg without a seat in 2020. Stroke your forehead and call yourself Suzanne. What the fuck is going on? Unbelievable. This video has been bubbling for... Well, we've known it's been on the cards. Ever since Toro Rosso, Red Bull, got announced, we have 1 seat left. Who was going to get that seat? Of course it was going to be Nicholas Latifi, because Latifi has been doing practice sessions left, right and centre. And he's desperate to get in F1, where Hulkenberg's been here for 10 years. Hulkenberg's like been in the points consistently. He doesn't want to take a step backwards and step into a shit Williams where he's going to be getting lapped twice and getting no points in the season. Shambolic, disgusting, disgraceful. Shouldn't be allowed, but we're losing yet another talented driver. We've seen it with Erline, we've seen it with Ocon. I'm actually glad Ocon's back on the grid. I'm not going to be like, I'm glad he's back on the grid. He deserves to be on the grid, does Ocon. He shouldn't have lost his seat in the first place, but now again we lose Hulkenberg, a talented German. Should be on the grid every day of the week, and he's not, because, well, money talks. I'm honestly, I can't believe I'm doing a video. Nico Hulkenberg not on the grid. It's an absolute disgrace. It's an outrage in my opinion. Wow. Just wow. Join me for qualifying reaction, race reaction, driver ratings for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And it will be Hulkenberg's last qualifying, Hulkenberg's last race, and Hulkenberg's last rating that I'm going to give him. And hopefully this is just a year off and he'll be back on the grid. I mean, he's relatively young as well still. So hopefully he's just doing what Ocon did, basically take a year out and come back. Otherwise, we've lost a really talented driver who easily is good enough to be on the grid every day of the week. Absolutely disgusting. Sickened. I hope we see Nico Hulkenberg back in the sport. He shouldn't be leaving the sport at all, but he is. Nico Hulkenberg without a drive in 2020. Sickening. Hang your heads in shame.